So nothing fancy or anything. We just wanted to talk for you to share your testimony as far as what happened with Samaje. And, I was able to, First Lady was able to send me the a video that was done maybe in 2021. Um,
Yes.
a news station was able to interview you guys and talk about what happened. So briefly, and anybody, this question maybe is for Samaje, as far as share your background, your faith background, as far as before the accident.
Well, I would just say this: before the accident, I was a big partier. I was a big partier, but then like the closer I got to the accident, that's when I just decided just to kind of not that I was like not that something happened, but I just wanted to get closer to God instead of always
Mhm.
going out partying because it gets exhausting the older you get. So I just wanted to draw myself closer to God.
Yeah. So, but as far as before the accident, you've always been a Christian or a believer, is that right? Did
Yes.
anything, other than the fact that you had that accident, did anything change from your beliefs? You've always been a Christian, a
I,
believer.
I always
That's
I always believed in Jesus Christ and everything. So like if anything, he sacrificed himself. He literally was like cut and then like was bleeding over us. So his blood was for us. He was like sacrificed on the cross for us. So for him to have that impact makes me want to get closer to God, his Father, and everything in Jesus Christ. That's kind of like why I want to be more like Jesus Christ. If you really want to think about
mm-hmm.
it.
So is it okay if I call y'all Earl and Michelle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
same question for you. Um, share your background, your faith background.
Um, I've I've always been a child of God, a follower of Christ. Um, basically associated with Full Gospel Ministries. I would say all my life, my faith has been rooted and grounded, and that most of that had to do with my mom being a single parent mom, raising 8 siblings, and we just saw a lot of things and experienced a lot of things that were were situations where you know that there was a God, like just her, him providing and just her reading her Bible, praying, seeing that kind of faith as you grow up is what made me who I am today.
And I would add, I mean, just a little bit to that. I mean, we all grew up in
Mm-hmm.
church. I can remember my mom taking us to church when we were little kids and us singing in the choir. Uh, it's just, just reminisce how church used to be back in the day. I mean, you were going to go to church. You were going to have a relationship with
Mm-hmm.
God. So I knew when Samaje had this accident, I know who to call on to. I knew who to call on to. I knew, I knew, I just knew. I knew to call the elder of the church. I knew, and 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 once that happened, and continues walking around this hospital, and something came over me. It's done. It's done. And that has never happened to me in my life. But that day, something came over me, and I know it wasn't anything but the Spirit, the Holy Ghost. It was God telling me
Mm-hmm.
it's done. It's done. He's gonna be all right. So
I remember that part in the interview in the video that I saw. Both of you, there were specific times where it was just an automatic. Okay, he's gonna be okay. For you, Michelle, it was okay. Today he's gonna open his eyes, and then For you, Earl, it was okay. You were walking around while he was in this. So this was, I'm assuming this was during the 2 weeks that he was in the coma. And so
Yes.
I guess those days were different days for you. One day, Michelle, you were like, okay, today's the day he's going to open his eyes. And Earl, while you were walking and praying, it was like, okay, he's going to be okay. So do you remember the actual days that those happened? And did you even put those 2 days together after talking to each other to say, to share your experience with God as far as how He let you guys know at different times, as far as how Samaje was going to progress?
No, there was so much going on, but our faith together. I mean, it was close knitted that we just knew. We just knew. We held on we held on to each other. Our faith in God, it was just, it was just strong. And don't get me wrong, it was hard because
Yeah.
when you're when you're used to seeing your child run up and down the field, run up and down the basketball court, doing amazing things, and then all of a sudden, all that is just taken away from him, and then you're sitting there watching him laying in the bed unresponsive. It was hard, and and our faith was tested.
Most
It,
definitely.
it was tested, but God pulled us through.
And I would say,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say, my experience was the moment that we all got to the hospital. I don't know if Shamar felt it. I don't know if Earl felt it, but I remember the one thing that I remember questioning God was while we were en route to get to Samaje when we left here 3 a.m. in the morning. And I remember him asking God, why my child? Why my son?
Hmm.
And I quickly heard the Holy Spirit answer and say, they did it to mine. And
Mm.
I repented. And when I repented, just this amazing presence of the Lord, like fill the car. It was like a warm blanket. I don't know if they felt it, but I felt it. And then it was something that really happened when we got to JPS, and they finally got us to the floor where Samaje was. And the Holy Spirit was like, what about all those songs you sung in the choir? What about all those scriptures you read? What about BTU and Bible training? Who do you say I am? And I remember going off in tongues. And
Mm.
as I was going off in tongues, it was like God lifted me above. Like it was like your mind is no longer right here. You gotta go above what the circumstances were. And I believe all of us
Mm.
experience that experience in different times. Um, I know for
Mm.
Shamar, it was very difficult, but just the way God rested upon him, I don't even know if he knew exactly what God was doing in those moments. But yeah, it was hard, especially when we actually got to touch Samaje and he was cold and he was stiff,
Mm.
and we were trying to find out what the next steps were, as far as what the treatments were going to be. Is he brain dead? Is he not brain dead? And I remember seeing my husband when they told us that he tested positive for COVID. He
Right.
just like the floor, and that was hard. And then I was thinking about the kids. Jamar and his sister, they're out in the lobby,
Mm-hmm.
and they're wanting to put hands on their brother, and they didn't get a chance to do that within those crucial hours. But definitely not easy. But when the presence of God enter in like a mighty wind, that peace, it really does take you beyond your understanding, and it guards your heart and your mind.
Wow. Shamar, so you just heard your mom explain a specific time where she felt God come over the situation. Do you remember that time? Because she said she's not sure when you or how that affected you, but your parents, there was some specific times where they could pinpoint um, God, letting them know what was happening and that it was going to be okay. Do you remember, or was there something specific for you during that time when Samaje was in a coma?
I want to say, like, I felt this peace over me basically the whole time. I feel like the point I really didn't break down until I actually went back and seen him through a window, see him in the tubes and everything. So when I seen that, that finally hit me where I was like, is he going to make it or not? Should I go back and play? So then I think his peace really hit me on the plane. And then as soon as I landed, I had made a tweet. I'm trying to think what the tweet said. It said, "This one's for you. You guys got you." And, after that, I just felt his peace, had a strong sense of faith, and I just knew he was going to be all right.
So I remember in the video from the interview 2 years ago, you went to see Samaje, but then you decided to go back home so you could play ball that Friday night. And so how was that during that time? At that moment or during that time when you were playing or when you decided to go back and play, had you already been reassured? Was it during that time where God had already reassured you that Samaje was going to be okay? And what happened after the game, after you had that amazing night?
I mean, it didn't feel real, to be honest. It felt like I wasn't really controlling what I was doing out there. It was just God controlling me, using me, and allowing me to have the game that I had. I want to say I was crying the whole game. There was like a long run I had, and if the video was zoomed in, you'll see tears rolling down my eyes as I'm running. And right after the game, I go to the side and I'm still crying because I'm not really sure yet because people are still making updates saying he's still unresponsive. But he's in good condition, but he's unresponsive. So I'm still tearing up, still crying. And then on the way back after the game, when I'm sleeping, I had like a dream. And it was just like it felt like it was just a bunch of old memories of me and my brother doing things when we were younger. When we were teenagers, preteens, just hanging out, doing fun things. And then after the dream, it was just like a calm voice saying, "He's all right, I got him." And after that, that was the reassurance that he was going to be all right. And ever since then, I was all right with what was going to happen. It was all in God's hand.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. It
Did you hear that?
must have been a little delay.
Yeah.
Can y'all still hear me?
Yes.
Did you get Shamar's?
Okay.
Did you get all
Okay.
this? Okay.
Yes, I heard him.
Okay.
We jumped right into how your faith before the accident, and then we started talking about things specifically that happened while Samaje was in the hospital. But for people that don't know, I don't know, Samaje, you want to explain what happened? Tell us briefly about what happened to you October 2020.
Well, I mean, I was involved in a car accident, and that was a pretty bad car accident. It basically affected my brain the most, and that's literally the piece of my body that I need is my brain. But it also affected my collarbone and affected my femur. And I think it was broken, right, Mom? Broken femur, fractured clavicle.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah,
Yeah, the young man was driving over 100 miles per hour.
He was drunk too.
Yeah, he
But,
was drunk.
but
He was
guess what I did
drinking.
though? Guess what I did? I did the like the Jesus what Jesus Christ would do. I forgave him. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ would do the same thing. He would forgive him. So I literally forgave him
He
for
would.
everything.
yeah, yeah. That was one of the things. This young man had a troubled past, um, and that particular night he just ran the red light, and he hit. What was amazing is he hit the another car in the intersection, and his car spun out of
Mhm.
control and it hit Samaje, T-bone Samaje, and everybody was able to walk
Mhm.
away except for Samaje. Um, and I remember Samaje waking up out of he went through three stages of consciousness. One was the coma, the vegetative state, and
Mhm.
then there's where he's kind of like the amnesia. He's trying to collect all these memories, and the memories trying to remember where everything was. But one thing that
Right.
Samaje wanted to really emphasize is that this young man go to jail. He said, "Mom, can y'all make sure nothing happens to this young man?" And of course, Dad is like, there's nothing really we can do. I mean, it's not really up to us. And sure enough, we didn't press charges, and the state picked it up. And just
Mhm.
this year, uh, Samaje went face to face. We met the young man face to face in court. It was a day that we would never, I mean, never forget. All of us were there. We were thinking, I don't know, we were thinking that we would have some type of relief, seeing
Mhm.
him face to face. And but what I know is God is faithful in this because He heard Samaje's request. He didn't want anything to
Mhm.
happen to the man, and he didn't want him to get a lot of time or none at all. And I remember as they're reading his sentence, this young man probably only got maybe a year sentence to him, which he probably didn't even have to serve most of that. He was paroled out. But as a family, I don't know how Shamar felt, but I didn't feel like just like a big relief, like,
Right.
oh, glad, it's over. But what God reminded me was this is not about y'all. It was about Samaje because Samaje was gleaming. He was smiling so big. And then as we left the courthouse, before we left, the young man said he wanted to speak to Samaje, and they allowed him
Mhm.
to. And he told Samaje, he said, "Man, thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for forgiving me." And I remember Samaje telling him, he said, "Man, you didn't take anything from me. I'm going to be able to do all these things I did before, even better." And that was encouraging to me because when you walk around with unforgiveness, there's there's so much
Mhm.
you block from God working. And I
Yeah.
believe that's why ooh, Jesus. I believe that's why we saw so many miracles and so many um, things happening so quickly for the whole entire family is because God allowed us to choose forgiveness. And
Yeah.
I remember one of the prosecutors running after us during the court. I believe there's not a dry eye in that court, but this particular prosecutor, he said, I questioned my faith. And he said, seeing you guys being obedient, thank you for showing me what forgiveness is. And so, in that right there, it really blessed us as a family to just really show us, hey, forgiveness is really important as believers
That's
in following.
powerful.
Yeah.
So it was really God using
It
us.
definitely confirms. Yeah.
Yeah.
It confirms that it wasn't about y'all. It was about Samaje, but it was also
Mm-hmm.
about, I guess, showing the ultimate, the forgiveness that was available.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
That's powerful.
for me it's about three big words. DOD. Uh-huh. G-O-D. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
we get from, Shamar?
That's from Lady Shauna.
Oh,
Uh-huh. Yes. And God used a lot of our joy, like a lot of joy. We laughed a lot during Samaje's recovery. I think Shamar was the catalyst for
Mhm.
that. Um, just that gift of joy. He just did it. He just moved in that capacity. Because the joy of the Lord truly is your strength in times like this. And so yeah, we laughed a
Mm.
lot. We got a lot of footage on just how God just moved on all of us, and I mean, it was just such laughter. And when you're in the valley, you could do so many things, but we chose joy. We chose
Right.
joy, and it strengthened us for every stage that we had going forth. And as far as your church family, hmm,
Yeah, thank you guys.
thank y'all so much.
It means a lot.
God showed us what the kingdom of God, what the kingdom was going to be like, because that same morning as we're driving, we get all these texts, massive texts, and some of the people we don't even know. And
Hmm.
before the story got out, I believe, but there are just so many people from California, New York, to like these vast places, and they were praying powerful prayers, like Lazarus get up from the dead prayers.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I said to God, I said, I know you hear Samaj's voice. I mean, I know you hear his name today. I know you're hearing his name. And from the band spelling out his name, and they spelled it correctly.
Yeah.
And I'm awe, because I'm like, they don't just, he's just not a name. They know him.
Yeah.
And the overwhelming uh, love that they showed my younger son. He's quiet, and he really don't deal much with people, but they were like people bringing him food and giving him money, and it, man. And then your church family fixing like just love baskets
Hmm.
with detergent and all these good things. And man, God, he supplied our needs through y'all's obedience, and we want to say thank you. We
You
want to
are
say,
very welcome. You are
and
very welcome.
the ongoing prayers is powerful.
I mean, it's amazing how we will latch on, because this panel is about deliverance and miracles and things that have happened. And there's another person or family, it's a husband and wife that's on the panel that that nobody at the church knew. It's just there was a connection through one person, and that one person brought it to church to say they got really sick at work. They had a heart
Yeah,
attack and stroke at work, and so immediately the prayers and
yeah,
began. And then it was constant. And then,
yeah,
he would go back and tell the wife, and she would, thank you so much. I can't believe y'all are doing this. Y'all don't even know who I am. And it was a
yeah,
constant back and forth of she would give an update and he wasn't talking. He went from not talking to talking, into no tubes, into walking, into going home, into being rehabilitated and going home from that. So it was a consistent process, and we were able to be a part of that. And so just to know, the outcome and the fact that someone's faith was increased, you know,
hmm,
and we'll be able to, talk to them tomorrow to, find out where they were versus before and after. But just
yeah,
hearing the testimony after, how it will affect you, your family, and all the people around you. You're able to be a walking testimony. So just us talking is an encouragement, and to hear all the people that were able to affect you, the people in the hospital. I'm sure I remember from the video how the day he woke up, people were crying. And I know that those people, their faith were increased because they were walking and listening to you, and they knew the outcome, the doctors and the nurses, they knew how Samaje was and what what they thought the outcome was going to be, but because of you and your faith, you were able to help somebody else. And even in the courtroom, as far as you were just explaining how you were able to increase somebody's faith just because you said yes to forgiveness. So it is amazing how this story, and it keeps unfolding as far as the things
It
that are
does.
happening, even though this happened 3 years ago, the things that the residual that is coming after is amazing. I'm sure you're still going to have plenty of stories to tell based on what you thought was going to be deadly turns out to be saved your life. Yes.
Okay, I feel like I'm in class.
Yes,
So
Samaje, you may speak now.
you ever heard Yeba's Heartbreak by Drake? Yeba's
The
Heartbreak?
what?
Yeba's Heartbreak? Yeba's
I don't know.
Heartbreak.
No,
It's a song by Drake.
they
Oh,
don't
okay.
listen to.
Okay, but I'm saying like that song means a lot to me because like it's basically like okay, it's the girl singing, but she's saying you may not know right where you're going, but I do, I do, I do. And so what I was thinking was, what if this is really God saying this? You know, like what if God is saying that? You may not know where you're going, but He does.
Mhm.
So
He
that
definitely does.
literally increased my faith, increased my trust in him. Because
Yeah.
in like just a normal music, you can hear something that symbolizes him too. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 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 I when in 2021 he couldn't even speak clearly, articulate his words, but he told us two things. He said, "I'm going to go back to school and I want to play football again."
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Shamar was in his ear, right, Coach Shamar?
Mm-hmm.
He was in his ear. And just that beautiful connection of brotherly love, like catapulted him to the next level. And then when it got closer to Christmas, I was like, oh, he is serious about going back to school. And, I was like, we got to get rid of this walker. And I remember him just like, just saying, you know what, I'm gonna just do this. I'm gonna just do this. And then the next thing you know, in January, we're packing up a U-Haul and we're taking him back to Abilene Christian.
Wow.
And just still just miraculous. There's like so many miraculous parts of the story that needs to be told, but at the same time, the Abilene family, they just came together and said, hey, we have never done this before, but we're gonna figure it out. And then just to
Mm-hmm.
see next year in 2024, he's about to graduate. Um,
Wow.
If you know if you know a cardiovascular teacher that can help me out in this class, because that is way too tough right now. It's too hard.
I, I
And
don't know a cardiovascular teacher. I don't. I'm sorry.
heart is kind of like when you're studying the heart, it's like looking in the mirror. So everything that's on the right side is described in left as left. Everything on the left
Oh.
side described as right. So I'm confused.
But you just explained it perfectly to me,
yes.
so I could get it. I mean, so you're on your way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
but hey, if you know anybody, a nurse, anything, link me
Gotcha.
up.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
So tell me about one thing that kept you going. Earl, I heard that you told me that you were walking around in the hospital and praying and crying as far as when Samaje was in the coma. But what was it that kept you? Was there one thing that kept you going? Was it a
God.
song? Was it maybe a Bible verse? Something
It,
that you could
it,
pinpoint that just kept you?
it was just me talking to God, just having that one-on-one conversation with God, just constantly praying. I cried a lot. I think I'm the crybaby of the bunch, but I cried a lot. I mean, to see I have two boys and I have an older daughter, but to see them, to see your kid helpless, it's just hard. But like I said, I've always had a relationship with God, and God is good. God is real, and that's without saying. God is real, and He proves it over and over and over. But I cry, and my boys. I mean, I want them to know it's okay. It's okay to shed some tears.
Mm-hmm.
And as men, we have to know that it's okay. We have to show that other side of us. We don't always have to be macho. And but God, just constantly talking to God. My wife, she's like I said, she's a God-fearing woman, and her faith is amazing, and we made it through this thing together. And Shamar, like I said, and my wife was speaking about him earlier. He's an amazing man, young man also, because he could have thrown the towel as well, because all of our attention was going on Samaje, and so and he fought also. He fought through this whole process that we were going through. So all of us as a family, everybody is like God had His hand in it. So everybody did their thing, and He poured us through it. So we just gonna keep going. We're just gonna keep going.
And what made us love harder was like appreciating those times where where Earl and Shamar would drive 5 hours. I believe Shamar would have probably had a game the following day, and then they would have a team meeting, and they would drive 5 hours to come see us at Baylor. And during COVID, there's no contact, but they would just and we would visit through a window. We spent Christmas that way. We spent New Year's that way. And it just gave us a greater appreciation, just for each other. And it was like God just like, I'm gonna make sure that you're close. I'm gonna make sure that you're close. I'm gonna make sure that y'all stay connected, and that was powerful to me, because He never left us. He never forsaked us. He was just steady, and He was just like, trust me. And one of the things He always gave us was He gave us a war room. There were people coming out of the woodworks. They said, hey, we're going to pay for your hotel. And we had other people come and said, hey, you no longer staying in this hotel. We're going to get you a place closer to the hospital. Mm-hmm. And we stayed in extended stay, and we had people buying groceries. We had people coming up and say, hey, we're taking you out to eat, and we're not taking no for an answer. And God knew exactly what we needed. He provided everything we needed for this battle. He provided everything we needed for battle. And the weapons of our warfare is really not carnal. It's mighty, pulling down some strongholds. And God provided what we needed so we could battle, so we could pray, so we could focus. And you mentioned a song. The 3 songs that really stuck with me was Something Has to Break by Kiera Sheard. Mm-hmm. In the Room by Jonathan Nelson. Whatever you need is in the room. And then He's Too Good Not to Believe by Brandon Lake. Like, we've seen Him heal. We've seen Him open blind eyes. We've seen Him raise the dead. And Samaje was announced DOA as we spoke on the scene, on the arrival, when we spoke to the first paramedic that was on the scene recently. Um, and he is our Lazarus, and I know that in time, God is going to reveal to him everything. And I know his testimonies are going to be more powerful, as well as
Absolutely.
Shamar,
Absolutely.
And so we're just grateful. This weekend marks 3 years. October 8th was the
Yes.
exact. Yeah.
I recognized that earlier. I was like, oh,
AI.
this is 3 year. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So God is faithful. Um, I want to tell your church family, with the other church families, keep praying those powerful prayers for those who you don't know, connecting with the kingdom, because that's what it's about. It's the kingdom of God. And I know God is moving so vastly in these times, in these period of times. And there's so many people that we would like to know, like to encourage you that there's absolutely nothing impossible, nothing
Absolutely.
that he cannot do. He is faithful, he is just, and he watches over his word. And that's what we kept speaking. We kept speaking to his spirit, and his spirit commanded his body to move. There was one point in the hospital where he was not even conscious, but his body was moving when he tried to get out of the bed.
Mm.
You whew, Jesus, just so many powerful moments, you know. Um, and so we're very thankful for that. Very thankful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been eye opening for me. Um,
Mm.
do you have anybody have anything else they want to add? Shamar, I know I've heard you're the quiet one, so or not.
Oh, sure.
Do you have anything you want to add?
Um, I was just
Okay, here's the question. Here's something to think about. Who is Shamar now versus Shamar before Samaj's accident?
Shamar before. I feel like I've always been kind of quiet before the accident. I feel like after the accident, somebody just kind of brought me out of it. I've been showing a little bit of my funny side, trying to make everybody laugh, sing. So I feel like the me now is more open. I'll try to start a conversation with somebody instead of just looking at them awkward. So I feel like I've grown as a person, as a grown man. But yeah.
As a grown man.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. But we're very blessed. These two young men. We couldn't have.
And we're blessed too. We're blessed too. We got two amazing parents. We got a mom and we got a dad, and they love God, so we're blessed too.
Absolutely.
I got a brother too and a sister. Oh yeah, I'm blessed,
Yeah.
and I'm the middle child. I'm blessed.
Toy, I wish there was so much more we could share, but I know that everybody's been telling us we need to write a book. Um, so I believe that everybody has some pages that they can add to like the story.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the title of y'all's conference, especially just the belief part. Like God is not asking you to carry out. He needs you to do is just trust him
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and receive it. Just receive the mustard seed is the size of faith is what he requires.
Mm-hmm.
And if we just
He's too real to not believe, Mom.
he is too good. He's too real not to believe. Like
Yeah.
I I just, there's just nothing he cannot do. And it's kind of like that childlike faith. I think that's important no matter how old you are, whether you're 85, whether you're 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Have that childlike faith because God is ready to move and he has angels that he commands to move on our behalf.
Yes, he does.
Whether it's in war, whether it's in safety, whether it's in protection, whether it's in provision, he has things that he wants us to complete on this earth. And we just thank God for this opportunity. We really do.
Well, we are very grateful that we were able to make this happen because I definitely wanted to meet you because I've heard so much about you, and I definitely wanted to put my eyes on the miracle Samaje, and to meet all his supporters and his backers. Your story is amazing and a true testament to what God can do even now. So
Like
I look forward to sharing
Jesus
this tomorrow.
Christ said, "It's not your time yet." So I'm literally just here just to show His glory, show God His glory, so
Yeah.
people see Him through me. That's what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I won't hold you any longer. We've got a good 40 minutes of talking going here, so I'm sure we can actually continue. But I
But
appreciate you.
cardiovascular
Um,
too.
Look, you know what? Evidently, I'm gonna meet somebody that is a cardiovascular
Hey,
person,
if
and
you
I'm gonna
do,
be able to send them your way.
let me know. You let me know.
Yeah. But
Sure
thank
is.
you so much, Davis family.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Love
Y'all have a
y'all.
great weekend. Be safe.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.